as a child. So I think I was a troublemaker. And one day then the teachers came to my parents' place and said, "Dear Mr. and Mrs. Voigt, your son has too much energy, he's causing trouble in school. So he should do some sport to burn off this extra energy." Fortunately, back then in East Germany, and we're talking about late 70s, early 80s, they didn't have all this modern words. So they just said, he's a wild child, he needs to do sport to burn off his energy. And I guess I turned out pretty normal. If I would be the same child in this modern day and age and society, they would diagnose me with at least 5 different defects. They would send me to therapies and give me drugs and whatever until I actually turned hula baloo. But back then, they said, he's a wild child, we can do more sport. So I did that, and back in East Germany, everything was paid by the government. So the local cycling team presented themselves at our school and said, okay, whoever signs up for us this afternoon gets a brand new shiny bike. And I mean, you're a 10-year-old boy. My parents were working class, so we didn't have a car until I was 15 years old. So at a 10-year-old boy, somebody offers you a free bike, a brand new free bike. Of course I signed up. A bike meant freedom. You could see your friends now without having to ask somebody to drive you there. And lucky enough, I trained for about 3 weeks, entered my first race, won it, and then of course, you think it's cool, you get a brand new bike, you train a little bit, you win a race, you go, this is awesome, I keep doing it. So yeah, always stuck with cycling since then. We talk about 1980 when I started cycling. So now that I have 6 children, I still think it's very unlikely any new cyclist comes out of my family. My oldest son, Julian, Mark, it's the cold. I'm still trying to warm up. So Mark, he plays lacrosse. Anybody ever heard of lacrosse? Yeah. So he does that. Julian, my second son, he did cycling for about 5 years. But last winter he came to me and said, Dad, waking up on a Sunday at 6 a.m., going to a bike race at 7, driving there, waiting all day for the other age groups, come back home at 7 at night, the whole day is gone. He goes, I don't want it. Plus now, he was 16 then, he's 17 now, so I guess he probably has discovered the opposite sex, the girls. So training and the discipline for training is anyway out of the window. So, and the girls, they tried everything from hip-hop dancing, horse riding, field hockey, tennis. So I don't think there's any future cyclists in my family. Which, as a father, I'm okay with it because cycling can be a dangerous sport. It's very hard and physically demanding. And I still have a titanium screw in this hand, and I have a little bit of steel and titanium in this hand. And this finger actually, the index finger is never going to be 100%. So if you really want to say it that way, I am handicapped a little bit, 1% maybe. So as a father, I'm okay that he's not on the road. He did track and field before, running. He was a good middle distance runner. And the hardest thing that can happen there is you twist your ankle in the stadium, right? But out on the road, so as a father, I'm okay. As a cyclist, I saw the potential in him because I could see the way he was sitting on the bike, his pedal stroke. I could see there is some talent there. And also he gave me one of the most, I would say, one of the most magic moments in like, not my life, but with my kids. Like I mentioned before, I won my first race. So did he. And the good thing was, it was only him and me, and then one of his old coaches was there. And nobody else of his team showed up, right? So it's just my son Julian and myself in that forest at a mountain bike race, and he ends up winning his first race. And I'm like, the whole circle of life is closing, He did like I did 30 years ago, like entering his first race and winning. I was so proud. I don't think he realized how important that was for me that day. But that was just magic, It was a beautiful day in autumn, in the forest, the leaves looked like the Indian summer. He's on the podium winning a race, man, I was almost in tears. It was fantastic. Sure. But you can't force it. If they don't want it, then they can't, right? So no more cycling, I guess, with my kids. Maybe the grandchildren again. And talking about grandchildren, now that I have 6 children, right? Just let's do the math. If each of them gets 4 children, 6 times 4, how much is that again? 24? 24 grandchildren. Now, Another 4 of them, 24 by 4, how much is that? 96? No. Yep,
Yeah.
96. So if that happens like that, imagine Christmas, the bill for Christmas presents. I'm gonna buy each of the kids like a 5-pound Lego figure because they can't afford anything else than that.
96 bikes.
Yeah, or 96 bikes for them. Imagine that. Or imagine one day one of us gonna get married. We're gonna call up the people like, no, I do not need the hotel, I need the whole city. I need all the people to move. So my family, to have the family wedding there, we need the whole city, we need every single room. Oh, I don't even want to think about it. Hopefully they are smarter than me and they maybe have stay with 2 kids each. And I'm looking forward to be a grandfather. I'm turning 45 next week. And I'm looking forward to be a granddad because it's also payback time. Any of you have children? You know, I tell them to grandchildren, they want to go, you're going to go to mom and dad in an hour? Oh, okay, here, have a liter of Coca-Cola, please. Or my favorite one is, my kids are always rolling their eyes because I've told this story many, many times to all of them. The slingshot story. The slingshot story goes like this. Here's me, grandfather, little belly, big beard. My grandchild standing there. I don't care if it's a boy or girl. My grandchild stands there. I go, hey, grandchild, here's a slingshot grandfather built for you. Here's a little rock for you. That is the neighbor's window over there. Now grandpa's gonna look away. And then when I hear the noise of the glass shattering, I go, run back to mom and dad now. I'm so looking forward to that. You got all the pleasure and no responsibilities. That's gonna be awesome. But then again, maybe I only get my grandchildren to see once a year. Because if my kids go, no, you're not gonna see grandpa, it's bad for you. So yeah, the kids always keep you busy, right? My oldest son turns 21 in November. And yeah, sometimes they say small kids, small problems, bigger kids, bigger problems, and you just never stop being a parent. Like even my parents, they tell me, you know, sometimes we still lay awake at night, my mom and my dad, worrying about our kids, like me. You know, and I'm 45 next week, so I guess you never stop being a parent. Talking about work life, this year I have been 3 times to Australia, 7 times I think US, 2 times Canada, and a little later I fly to 2 more times US and 1 more time Chile and Brazil. So I do travel quite a fair bit, which is good. Maybe in 5 years from now when I turn 50, I want to slow down a little bit.
Can't imagine that.
But in the moment, life is busy. I would say I travel as much as I did before when I was a professional rider. Just I think a lot further. I don't do too many events in Europe anymore. It's mostly really far away. Like last year it was also I went to Korea, Malaysia, Thailand as well. They asked me to come to Japan probably next year. We cannot fit it in this year anymore. So still lots of traveling, which is great because you see different countries, different cultures. You meet a lot of cool, interesting, or friendly people. So that's always a good part of the job. I think I did visit 36 countries with cycling. So, you know, it has been a good life. It was not a pleasure cruise. It was not a, it was more than a walk in the park, but it has been a good year. It's a good time I had in my career. But it's also good that I don't have to suffer anymore. I remember last year, this year again, I did commentating during Tour de France for NBC. Simply because they pay the best. But hey, I live in Germany, you got 6 children, you know? Somebody got to put the steaks in the fridge. And so like the way it's organized, my place is right at the finish line. I have my like little tent there, and my mic and then all that, so I'll be there. And I remember the first year, so last year, we covered the team presentation, and then you look at the riders all on stage, everybody got a brand new cycling kit, brand new bike, they all got like, you know, freshly shaved, fresh haircut, they are like in prime shape. Then you'll be standing there and you're looking up to them and go, did I ever look that, you know, fresh, happy and strong? And you go a little bit like, oh, I wish I could be there one more time. But since I'm sitting at the finish line, the first, second, third day, you can see them coming across the line. Some of them like all bruised up, bleeding, and you know the jerseys torn apart. And on the last week, you see how tired they look. You know, because I'm sitting at the finish line, and go, oh, these guys look like devastated. You know, like how they gonna keep going tomorrow. So I'm like, no, I'm good that I'm on the outside of the fence now. I did 17 times Tour de France, and I had great times. I had my days in the sun. I had my days where I was crashing and suffering. So I think I have seen most of things in the Tour de France, and I'm happy that that chapter is closed. And also only now from the outside, I realized what a demanding adventure the Tour de France is. It's not just a bike race. It's like the last and biggest adventure on earth. I mean, as I say, I'm sitting at the finish line. I see the development of the riders from being all young, strong, beautiful, and full of hopes and dreams at the start to 80% I just want to finish this. You know, and you go, like, well, what we ask of the riders, they race in the rain, in the sun, in the cold, up the mountains, down the mountains, on the flats, in the crosswinds, crashes, back on a bike and chasing back to the peloton. Only now I realized, Jesus, everybody who reaches Paris is a hero. He deserves almost a medal. And then you look at yourself, you go, how did it ever do one, let alone 17 of them? It's crazy. But it only took me a view from the outside to realize of how big it is. Well, also, we have the Tour de France, we start with 198 riders, 22 teams, 9 riders. And I believe we do move 3,500 people every day in the Tour de France. I think it's about 15 or 1,800 just journalists, from blogger to TV to print media, all of it together. 1,500, 1,800 people just working for the media. 3,500 people involved in the Tour de France. I mean, it's like moving is New Milton every day to a new place. Or how big is New Milton? I mean, the city, how big is it? Anybody knows?
Not very big.
Okay, so then maybe next bigger city. So, I mean, that's a pretty impressive adventure they put on there every year again. So, I'm happy that I'm still involved. And actually next year, so 17 years as a bike rider, 2 years as a commentator. Next year is my 20th Tour de France participation. First medal of loyalty, Médaille de Fidélité. You get the first one after 20 times Tour de France, so I'm going to get that medal next year. Then I believe 25 and 30 years and so on, keeps going. But next year, getting my first medal. yeah. Loyalty medal or whatever they call it. So, yeah, any questions by now? Or anything you want to know from me? Yes?
Hi, Jens. Who would you say at the moment is the most talented all-round rider in the program?
Oh, that's easy. Peter Sagan. He's just head and shoulders above anybody else. And I must say, I'm such a fan of Peter. I would even go that far to say, if I ever grow up, I want to be Peter. He's my hero. And he's a good human being as well, you know. He's not only a world-class bike rider, but did you guys know he came twice to me to apologize for his team to chasing me down. One time in Tour de France, one time Tour of California. You know, like I'm in a break in the Tour de France. Back then he was with Cannondale, with the green jerseys they had, Liquigas Cannondale. So see all these boys lined up, and then they catch me, so I go on the other side of the road, so get out of the way. Peter swings out of the wind shelter, out of the protection from his team, comes over to me, said, "Oh, Jens, I'm sorry." I said, "Peter, that's normal. I mean, it's the Tour de France. You need to win. I want to win. And we both cannot win if the other one is there. You cannot win if I'm out there. I cannot win if you sprint next to me." So each one of us tries to win in his way, in his fashion. And it's just normal business. But yeah, twice he came to apologize for chasing me down. So he's a really good guy. I really do like him a lot. Yes?
Where were you when the wall came down?
I was my last year high school. I was in the dormitory? The dorms? Yeah. Is it dormitory pronounced like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because back in East Germany we had a sports school system, so at the age of 14 or 13 I qualified for the sports school, and then at 14 I moved to Berlin, lived in the dorms. That was well organized. They had like one entrance for the boys, one entrance for the girls, And if you want to meet somebody on the other side, you had to put your name down, which person you want to visit in which room. And then let's say if you're younger, they would say at 9, no more visitors. 8:30, you would come in and kick you out. Yep, control. But I guess we also didn't have any unplanned pregnancies back then. What was the question again? Sorry.
When the
cold. I'm still warming up.
When the wall came down.
The wall came down, yes. So I was actually doing my homeworks. I had TV and radio switched off and doing my homeworks because it was last year high school. And then friends of me came in and said, "Hey, you want to go to Western Berlin?" And I'm like, "Are you kidding me? What would I? There's the wall, there's a border. They would shoot us." I said, "No, the wall is down, the border is open, we can go." So I switched on TV and radio, and of course it was on all channels. And then, we just jumped in his car. He was a little older than me, so he already had a car and driving license. So we jumped in the car and went to Western Berlin. Yeah. So I was doing my homeworks in my little room in the dorms.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was exciting.
Yeah.
And then, but it was also a little frightening because the world you have known just stopped existing. And within, let's say, the first 3 months after the wall came down, we didn't know if the Russians would move in with the whole army and just shut things down again and, well, I don't know, shoot 1,000 people. I mean, it happened before in Czechoslovakia and in Hungary when they had a bit of a revolution there. The Russian army came in with tanks and they shot a few people and shut it down. So there was always a possibility that you wake up next morning with like 10,000 Russian soldiers roaming the streets. And also was a little bit like, I don't know what happens next week or what happens tomorrow. And then, once the countries got united, then you know, okay, we're safe. Which actually, I like the event. Russia released, I don't know, about 10 countries into freedom. You know, Czechoslovakia, Poland, the former Yugoslavian countries, Germany, and not one single shot got fired. It was such a peaceful revolution. There's not many of them in the world where nobody gets injured, not one single person got injured. There's not many of them, so it's a good example of how things could develop if people just use common sense. And so I always liked that I was part of it. And at the start, it was quite a difference. Like, my wife is from Western Berlin, so I call us, I still do, a mixed couple. We are. The differences in the view on certain things is amazing. Like, a good example is, you remember the Cuba crisis? Okay, so here's my son. He goes, "Dad, how about Cuba? What happened?" So now, this is me. I go, "Well, son, listen. The wise leader Khrushchev decided to protect the free country of Cuba from a potential aggression from the imperialistic country of the US." And my wife comes running at us. I'm my wife now. "Mom, don't listen to that. The smart leader, Kennedy, saved the world from a nuclear war." "No, son, don't listen to him. Kennedy put the world on the brink of extinction because he was trying to block the free country of Cuba and forcing them to obey to him." My wife goes, No. The sinister Russians, they were threatening the world with nuclear war. Then my son goes, "Mom and Dad, what's right? You don't know each other." But it's just one example of how we look at the world in a different way. Or for many years, I have been told that all of you guys were locked out behind the Iron Curtain. Not that we were locked in. No. You guys were locked out. The Iron Curtain, the wall, was there to protect us from all of you. That was the official version in school. So,
wow.
And then one time my wife went, "Jens, you're so lucky that we actually took you to our good country and that we live here." I'm like, "Excuse me, I paid for the house and I paid for the furniture and I paid for the TV and I paid for the sofa you're sitting on." So it's not always that I have to say thank you to you for, letting me into West Germany. I also did my share of work. But at the start, it was quite interesting, the differences we had on, looking at the world. Also about whatever education, school system, it was different. Any more questions? Yes?
What do you think about the talking about reducing the size of the teams in the Tour de France so that make it more competitive rather than sort of controlling one team, sort of put, say, riders up front and control the race?
Well, the talk has been around for, I would probably say 10 years. Now that I'm not riding anymore, or as a bike rider, I wouldn't like it. Because it would mean more work for everybody, less predictable, more pressure inside the team to make it, and more pressure on the whole riders market, because less riders in the tour means also the team needs less riders in total. So it would put more survival stress on each rider for getting a new contract next year. But I can see the positive things in it as well. For the organizer, it would make the race more open, more unpredictable. It would maybe save some money for the organizer and for the sponsors, that you can have smaller teams. You would need less hotel rooms and so on and so on. So I can see why people still talk about it. But when you talk about one team taking control of the race, like some people can say Team Sky makes the race boring because they just control it. But it's not the fault of Team Sky. Team Sky, I'm sure, not one single time in their tactical meeting, the director uses the words, let's kill this race, let's make it boring. No, they want to win the race. And the safest way for them to win is by eliminating all coincidences and keep it in control. The mistake is made by all the other teams. They're just not good enough. They should spice up their game and challenge Team Sky harder. It's not Team Sky's fault that they control it so much. They're just better, and the other ones aren't good enough. You know, so stop blaming them for making the race boring. They're just trying to win, which is fair enough. You know. So I guess there's still a lot of discussions going on. I'm not sure if it happens anytime soon, but the talks have been going on for a while now. But I don't